A couple from Minneapolis decided to take a trip down to Florida one particularly icy winter and just to thaw out. Now, their schedules conflicted, so the husband had to go down on Thursday with his wife following on Friday. Husband gets down there and he checks in the hotel and notices there's a computer in the room, so he decides to send his wife an email. Now, when he's typing her address, he leaves out one letter and without recognizing the error, goes ahead and sends it off. Now, meanwhile, somewhere in Houston, a widow just returned from her husband's funeral. He was a minister and he was called home to glory following a fatal heart attack. She came home to check her emails to see if she had any messages from friends and relatives, and she read the first one and she fainted. The son came in and found her and looked up and read the message, and it said, "To my loving wife. Subject, I've arrived. Date, January 8th, 2004. And the message read, I know you're surprised to hear from me. They have computers here now and we're allowed to send emails to our relatives. Everything's great, and I noticed that everything's been prepared for your arrival tomorrow. Hope your trip was uneventful as mine. P.S. Sure is hot down here." Now, we tell you that story just to have a little fun, and we also want to point out a real key component there: effective communication. One little mistake and a message was totally misunderstood. Well, I'm here to tell you today that my industry, the financial and insurance industry, have also made a mistake when it comes to long-term care. There's a lot of guys out there telling you that because 50% of you need long-term care, that everybody should buy the insurance. You know, I've seen seminars where I'll have half the people stand up and say, that many people are going to have to go in a nursing home. Well, I'm here to tell you that in actuality, 100% of you will need long-term care. Where the 50% comes in is 50% of you are going to die before you need it. So, should that prompt you to buy a long-term care insurance policy? Absolutely not. The fact that there are people out there selling long-term care insurance based on the fact that half of you are going to die before you need it and the other half are going to need it is absolutely ridiculous. There are other ways to protect against long-term care. Everybody's situation is completely different. And you need to find out exactly what your risk is. Because if you just buy long-term care insurance just because you need it and because somebody told you you're probably going to use it, it's absolutely not true. And it's not very smart. Because there are so many components that everybody fails to look at to see whether the coverage is needed for them particularly. Now, ways that you can protect against long-term care without buying the insurance. There's life insurance. There's also annuities that have long-term care benefits. Now, the life insurance, that will actually pay a death benefit if you never use it. Because if you look at your sheet, we've actually shown you what the average cost of long-term care insurance is. This stuff is expensive. So for those of you in the room that are not ever going to need it and you buy it, you've just wasted all your premiums. Well, if you go the life insurance route and you never use the long-term care portion, at least your family's going to get a death benefit. So they're going to get something for your premiums. And it's a nice tax-free death benefit. If you go the annuity route and you never use the long-term care portion, well, you've got an asset you've just been growing. So again, you're not wasting premiums on a 50% chance you're going to use it. Now, also on the annuity side, there's actually annuities out there that don't require any medical underwriting. So if you've had problems or you've had problems in the past getting coverage, there's an annuity out there that actually is guaranteed issue. You don't have to answer a single question or do any kind of physicals. You're guaranteed to have the long-term care protection. Now, how do we find out whether you need long-term care insurance or not? Because again, everybody's different. Everybody has a different family makeup, different assets, different incomes. Everybody's different. What we need to do is do a quick analysis of your situation. And what we're going to test is where you fall with the Medicaid spend-down rules. Look at your sheet again. Now, we list the 5 rules that you need to know. The name on the check rule, the asset retention rule, the community spouse rule, the income limitation rule, and the 5-year look-back rule. If you've never heard of these rules, you need to talk to us because they directly affect how much long-term care insurance you need or if you need it at all. Because a lot of times guys will come to your house, I'm sure you've been approached, and they'll show you a long-term care policy and tell you how much you need it, and then you see the premium, you're like, there's no way, I can't afford it. So the next thing they say is, well, what can you afford? And they start backing down the benefits and lowering that premium until they get to a number that you'll buy. They're kind of right, but they're mostly wrong. The idea is to find out what your actual risk is. And how we find that out is based on testing your situation against these 5 rules. Now, what we're going to do, if you'll flip your paper over, is fill out the information for us, and we'll take that, we'll collect it from you, and if you want to, we'll sit down, have an appointment, and we'll fill out one form, that one form that will tell us what we need to know to tell you what your risk is. We'll take that form back to our office, we'll do an analysis and come out and show you, and if there's something we can do from there, that's great. So understand this, long-term care insurance is not the only way to protect against this risk, and it is a big risk. It's expensive to your family, and there is a good chance it's going to happen to you. But we need to find the best ways to do it other than long-term care insurance. Because understand that there's a lot of strategies that we can implement. Moving assets around. We got to take a look at name on the check rule. Because your situation versus your spouse's situation is going to be totally different. And also we have to answer the question, if my spouse goes into a nursing home tomorrow, what happens to my money? If I go into a nursing home tomorrow, what happens to my spouse's money? How is she going to live? If you don't know these answers, you need to come talk to us. So, one strategy that we'll share with you today is just kind of an idea of how we think about things, and what we can do is, let's say that you are going to go into a nursing home tomorrow, and you've got a $100,000 asset sitting out there. And you would like that asset to stay in your family, but if you try to go through a Medicaid spend down, mix that with all your other assets, they might take it. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop in a car and we're going to go to an antique auto show. Okay, and we're going to look and find maybe a 67 Shelby Mustang or you know, some really nice classic car that actually appreciates instead of depreciates. And we're going to take your $100,000, we're going to purchase that car. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to title it over to your wife. And you're going to give her that car. So now we've put it in your wife's name. You're going to go into the home. You're going to go through your Medicaid spend down, and you're going to apply, and you're going to get approved by Medicaid. Once you're in, you cannot be put out. So now your wife has that car. What's she going to do? Not drive it around most likely. She's going to take it and she's going to sell it. And then she's going to take that $100,000 asset and keep it in your family. Why does that work? Because Medicaid allows you one exemption, one car, one vehicle exemption of an asset. So again, it's following those rules and finding little strategies and techniques is what we can do to help you beat this long-term care risk without making you spend a single dime in premium. So I hope you've enjoyed the talk. Fill out that form, hand it up. We got people in the room that are going to collect it from you, and then we'll get in touch with you to do your analysis. Thank you very much.